Ahead to Real Madrid against Barcelona tomorrow, but we start off in the old Premier League. It is Chelsea against Spurs tomorrow at Stamford Bridge, and I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock for the last 48 hours, you know there was quite a to-do during the Carabao Cup final between Kepa, the goalkeeper, and Sarri, the coach. Of course, very much everything out of Chelsea over the last 48 hours has been, no, it was a misunderstanding, everything's fine, don't worry, we're moving on. Unfortunately, Sarri hasn't quite stuck to script regarding that match against Spurs tomorrow and who will play in goal. This is what Sarri had to say about the whole situation. It will be a decision for the good of the group, for all the players. Kepa has to be mentally ready to play. He made a mistake, a big mistake. There are some consequences. If the consequences is to play, he has to be ready to play. If the consequences is the bench, he has to be ready to go to the bench. Just a reminder that Chelsea confirmed that Kepa has been fined a week's wages after his conduct in that match against Manchester City.
He might as well have just come out and said, look, he's playing or he's dropped. Just be crystal clear. It's not going to make a difference to Tottenham, is it? Whether Kepa plays or whether Willy Caballero plays. The whole thing is just a sham. You've got an owner who's never at the club and hardly ever in the country now. You've got the sporting director left quite a while ago. You've got Sarri, who is staring in like a rabbit into headlights at the moment. I mean, you don't fine somebody for a misunderstanding, as you pointed out in the opening there. And as the other side of the coin is, a week's fine. A week's fine would be missing training on 2 occasions, not refusing to come off in a cup final that you lost. And by the way, how does a goal... I was talking to you earlier about this. How the hell does a goalkeeper get cramp? He's made 3 saves in the game. He's taken a couple taken a couple of goal kicks. There was 3 shots on targets. He probably had to come for a couple of crosses and punching. And he's got cramp. He should be fined 6 months' wages for that alone.
I keep telling you the hardest position on the field, Craig, but you never listen.
Right, here's the thing, Steve.
A week's wage.
No matter what internally they thought, after the game, they both came out with this misunderstanding line. Surely then you just stick to it.
Oh,
and if you're Sarri, you say, look, Kepa plays tomorrow, it's a misunderstanding, it's all been resolved. Move on. And then, no, look, we're not talking about it.
Well, unfortunately for Sarri, he's been showing us over the last 3 or 4 weeks that he can't make a decision and stick to it. He keeps talking and changing his mind the next day. He's not decisive. You know, he's saying there he's uncertain. Does he know the game's tomorrow, by the way? I mean, so there's absolutely no leadership. Craig's talking about the owner's never there. The manager doesn't really seem to know what he's doing either. Uncertainty is what Chelsea absolutely is. And by the way, if he's talking about whether Kepa playing, it will be for the good of the good of the team, why has he been playing all season and Willy Caballero's not been in either? Because he has to play for the good of the team. And again, it makes no sense, because that doesn't make any sense either.
How's he going to do a mentality test before the game, Shaq, with his goalkeeper? Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready?
Yeah,
Are you going to stay on?
Look into my eyes. Listen, I don't understand it. I thought the response from both Kepa and Sarri immediately after, once the dust had settled, in keeping with the party line, with what the club was trying to tell everybody, I thought it went well. And I'm not sure what happened to initiate the week's fine. Even then, as hard as that was to swallow, I thought, OK, you could get away with that.
Amongst the players, because obviously they're aware of everything that's going on. Do you have cliques who are like on Kepa's side? There are people who want to stay in with Sarri. Like, how does this all kind of play out?
I would think all of the above.
Really?
And players have always looked for an excuse, and will always look for a problem, and will always look for a reason to have a go at, to look at the manager.
Right.
And actually, he's given them plenty of ammunition. Most of it is coming from him. Kepa, I would assume the Spanish-speaking lads will all be with him. If the other ones have got any brains, and the other ones are actually interested in keeping this team together, then they'll accept it and move on.
Right.
That's the question. That's the answer to the question we don't actually know. Is this group actually wanting to stay together for Sarri? And Sarri always says, well, did you see the game at the weekend?
Yes.
Well, yes, they did work hard, but I'll tell you what, if they had lost a goal under the severe pressure they were in the first half, I'm going to say they would have collapsed big time.
Really?
I think so.
I think
That's what they've been doing.
In any dressing room, there are players who like the manager, believe in the manager, and players who don't. I think this situation has kind of accentuated your own initial position. If you think Sarri is good for you and good for the club, you're thinking, well, our problems are because of players like Kepa and those reactions. If you're a player on the other side and think that this is a club without leadership and it starts at the top with the manager, coming away from that, you know exactly why you feel as you do. If you're looking for pastures anew, as some of those Chelsea players are, this, again, kind of doubles down on that rhetoric. Those in the middle who are unwavering, you have to realise or recognise the role that Sarri and Zola and the coaching staff played in this becoming the debacle that it is. Because if you allow players to run roughshod over you, that's exactly what they'll do.
The Liverpool players would be gutted if Klopp left. The City players would be gutted if Pep left. The United players would be gutted if Solskjaer left. The Chelsea players couldn't give two hoots about Mourinho leaving,
Apart from Jorginho, maybe.
Conte leaving when he did, or Sarri leaving, or whatever. This guy should be sacked. Yeah. Dropped. Kepa. He should be dropped tomorrow.
Kepa should be dropped tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Willie Caballero's an experienced goalkeeper. He should be dropped, fined and dropped for what he did. It was a cup final. And Sarri's already said today, whether it was an injury or cramp, that's going to affect him in the shootout. So we wanted to make the change. I wanted him off. And he was told to come off over a 3-minute spell, and he never came off. He should be dropped.
Should he be dropped?
Not after what Sarri said.
Right, he shot himself in the foot.
He shot himself in the foot. Straight afterwards, it's like, I don't want to hear any excuses. I told him to come off, and he didn't come off, and guess what? He's going to pay for it. End of story. Then we're not sitting here talking about it.
Yes.
That's simple.
So he shouldn't be
Should have
dropped.
been. If he seriously thinks that he biffed him off, then absolutely. But he shouldn't have come out after the game and said, we've sorted it, it was a misunderstanding,
But that goes away
it's
now.
not a problem.
That goes away now with the fine.
How's it gone away?
Well, it's gone away by the fine. So the fine
Well, you
itself,
said it yourself. Why is he fining him if it was a misunderstanding and everything's okay?
Because it's not a misunderstanding, and that is now clear because of the fine. So the whole emphasis has changed from a misunderstanding to that's them basically admitting.
But that's what they're sitting here saying. Sarri's an absolute shambles. This is a complete shambles.
Well, the PR hasn't helped him.
You could say it was a misunderstanding, but the fine is because his reaction to that misunderstanding as a player was poor. That's how you can frame this. But I'm with Stevie here. Given what we heard in the, let's say, 12, 24 hours after that incident, you don't drop him. I think they've made a mess of what we've heard since. But given what we heard initially, no.
So, I want to welcome in Julien Laurent to the show. Joyce, to coin a phrase that Stevie used a couple of weeks ago, it is an absolute circus now, isn't it, Chelsea? A massive game as well coming up tomorrow at home against Spurs. What are we expecting? What sort of atmosphere is going to be like there?
It'd be very interesting to see, Dan. You're right. It's an absolute joke. The last 48 hours, even before that, to be fair, it's not just the cup final, but the cup final being the peak of it all. Like, you know, would have top hit everything that we've seen before from the Chelsea team, this Chelsea manager as well. I agree with Craig. I cannot believe that Kepa would play tomorrow on Wednesday night. For me, it's impossible. And if he does play, whether the decision comes from Sarri himself or above him, whether that's Roman Abramovich or Marina Granovskaya, whoever is taking the decision, it will undermine Sarri so much and show so much disrespect towards him that there's no way that after the game, if Kepa plays, that Sarri can continue being a manager and having a dressing room respecting him, or that his authority is still alive in that dressing room. It would be an absolute joke that if Kepa plays that game against Spurs, he should be banned for more than one game, in my opinion, and the fine is not enough. So I expect far more from Chelsea and Sarri for tomorrow.
To Stevie's point, though, Jules, is there not an argument to say that he basically, his authority in that dressing room was lost when he came out afterwards and told everybody that it was just a misunderstanding?
Yeah, I think the whole communication around here from Sunday to today and nothing yesterday, for example, was a whole shamble as well. I get that. However, it's one thing for Sarri to come out after the game and say what he said, still in the heat of the moment maybe, and thinking, you know what, let's try to make some sort of peace. And then, today coming up with something a bit different or even completely different and saying, Kepa apologized, but that's not enough. he has to do more. The whole thing from start to finish was a joke in terms of communication, but we've known that with Sarri. The whole season has been a communication disaster from him. You know, all the public criticism of Hazard or Conte, you know, all of that. He clearly struggling to handle the press in this country. I don't know how it was in Italy, but in this country, his communication has been a disaster from the beginning.
Why the hell would Eden Hazard stay there?
Oh, well, why would anyone stay there?
Why would N'Golo Kante stay there? I know he signed a new contract, playing him out of position. Why would some of the top players that they've got, particularly those two, stay at this shambles at the moment? Real Madrid would want him, PSG would want Kante and others. These guys are going to be looking to get out. There's not not two ways about it. The other side of the coin is, and we brought this up when we were arguing about Sarri a while ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I said at the time, the players were losing respect for Sarri when he continued to do the same thing in his stubborn ways, and it wasn't working. Because players sense it and they see it and they talk about it.
Right.
And this 4-3-3 Sarri system nonsense, the players would have been discussing it, and behind his back they'd have been saying, this guy just hasn't got a clue. Because we've got this guy out of position, we've got this guy out of position, this is happening, we're getting pasted, we're getting beat by Bournemouth, getting hammered there, and okay, they did better at the weekend, but I'm not having your theory from the other day and one or two others that Chelsea were great, because for 70 minutes, they got penned back to a 4-5-1. It was embarrassing. It was like somebody playing Huddersfield. You know what I mean? That's what it looked like at the weekend. And then some space opened up as the game got tired. But don't tell me it was some sort of masterclass from Sarri why it was a close game at the weekend, because it was playground football from City.
Let's talk about the game against Spurs then. Obviously, all eyes will be on the match. What do you expect, Stevie? Who's going to win it?
I've got to go with Tottenham. I mean, because there's nothing certain at Chelsea other than we know it's all over the place. I mean, so how is he going to pull everybody together?
Right.
We're asking questions of the dressing room and the starting 11 and all that. How is he going to pull that together? Because Sarri's shown he's not capable he's shown that he's not capable of pulling it together. So why would you go against Tottenham?
I'm with Stevie yet again. Spurs are the team that...
That's if Caballero's in goal. He's terrible.
Yeah. We're still not sure about that. But Spurs, as far as they're concerned, they sense the circus that's going on at Stamford Bridge. Good players, good teams know or can smell that blood in the water. I think Spurs do exactly that. I think Spurs win it.
Yep. They're drinking it a last chance saloon after their result at Burnley at the weekend.
Yep.
So if they can't beat this Chelsea side and the shambles they're in, then we'll be talking hammering Spursy on Thursday. I'm telling you.
Quickly, Joel, tomorrow even.
What?
We'll be here tomorrow talking
And
about...
Thursday as well. Getting ahead of myself.
Jules, just quickly, if they lose, and say they lose badly tomorrow, could it be gone by Thursday?
I think he could. I think, like Craig said, he probably should. However, let's not forget there's a transfer ban at the club at the moment that they will try to get overturned, but might not be. So what manager would be willing to come where you can't recruit anyone, where your best players, like Craig said, will probably want to go in the summer, where it's an absolute shambles, where there's no sporting director, and it hasn't been for years, so you don't really know who you refer to, when you've got an owner that is never there and clearly is disinterested, let's be honest, by what's happening at the club. I'm not sure who would want to come into this mess anyway, so maybe they would think twice about sacking him, but I think he should be sacked if they get heavily beaten.
You take a couple of million, wouldn't you, Stevie?
Absolutely, hi.
We'll be here then tomorrow to reflect on that game between